Most cold outreach gets ignored. Not because the offer is bad, not because the timing is wrong. It gets ignored because it sounds exactly like the last 5 emails the person already deleted. Today we're going to fix that, and AI is going to do most of the heavy lifting. This is making AI work. Let's start with the reality. Cold email averages a 21% open rate across industries. Reply rates for generic non personalized outreach, that's 2%. Those numbers aren't a pitch problem. They're a personalization problem. When your email could have been written for anyone, the person reading it knows immediately, and they move on. The pitch never even gets a chance. Here's what generic actually looks like in practice. Hi, first name, with no context around it. I help businesses like yours, which tells the reader nothing about whether you actually understand their business. Would love to connect, with no reason given and no value offered. These phrases aren't just weak, they're signals. They tell the reader that you didn't look at their business before reaching out. And if you didn't put in the effort before the first email, why would they expect you to put in the effort after? So, what does real personalization actually require? Four things: their website, their Google reviews, their social media, and your own observations about gaps or opportunities. That's the research stack. And done manually for one prospect, you're looking at 45 minutes. Website review, reading through reviews, checking social, noting competitor activity, it adds up fast. At 50 outreach emails a month, that's 37 plus hours. For most small business owners and sales teams, that math just doesn't work. So they skip the research, send the generic email, and wonder why nobody responds. Here's where AI changes the equation. The workflow is straightforward. Structured research goes in, personalized outreach comes out. AI handles the translation, taking your raw notes and turning them into a first draft that actually references what you found. The research still takes you about 15 minutes. The writing drops to under 8. That's the gap AI closes. Not the thinking, not the research. The translation from what you found to what you send. Let's talk about what's going in. 4 sources: website, what services they offer, how they talk about themselves, anything notably or missing. Google reviews, what customers actually say, including the complaints, not just the praise. Social media, when they last posted, how engaged their audience is, what they talk about. And then your own observations, website quality, response time, anything that stands out. Each of these is a data point. AI doesn't discover them for you, but once you have them, it processes all of them in seconds. Here's the prompt framework. You're giving AI 6 fields: company name, industry, and location, website notes, review themes, both positive and negative, social media activity, your own observations, and a short list of competitors. Then at the bottom, the instruction. Generate 3 pain points, 3 personalization hooks, a cold email under 100 words, and a 2-step follow-up sequence. That's it. The more completely you fill this in, the more specific the output. Every field you leave vague is an invitation for AI to fill the gap with something generic. Don't give it that opening. Here's what the research notes actually look like for today's scenario. Greenway Landscaping is doing outreach to Riverside Commons HOA. They want to win a commercial contract. The research is about the prospect, not Greenway itself. Their website lists lawn care contract, snow removal, and common area maintenance. Google reviews for the current vendor show complaints about communication and missed visits. Their Facebook page posted last week that spring bids are open. The HOA's manager is publicly listed. The current vendor has 2 visible complaints on their own Google profiles. That's the input. Messy, unformatted, exactly how you'd gather it in under 15 minutes of research. From those notes, here's what AI surfaces. 3 pain points. The current vendor has documented communication problems, which is an opening. Missed service visits suggest reliability frustrations that's already at the surface. And the bid window just opened. The timing is as good as it gets. 3 personalization hooks. Reference the spring bid announcement directly to show you saw it. Mention the communication theme from reviews without calling the competitor by name. And Sarah Kolb's name is public. Address her directly rather than sending to a generic inbox. Greenway picks the angle that fits, then moves to the email. Here's what AI produced from those notes. The subject line references the bid announcement specifically, not a generic following up line. The opener acknowledges the timing directly showing Greenway did their homework. The body ties to what HOA managers actually care about: reliability and communication, which the review research confirmed were active pain points with the current vendor. The CTA is low pressure. No hard sell, just an ask for 15 minutes with an honest out built in. Under 100 words, written from Greenway's perspective, for Greenway's prospect. That's the workflow working as designed. AI doesn't just write the first email. The same prompt generates a full 3 email sequence. Email 1 on day 1 is the initial outreach, the personalized cold email we just saw. Email 2 on day 3 adds value rather than just checking in. It might reference a relevant insight or share something worth knowing about their industry or competitive landscape. Email 3 on day 8 is an honest close, a clear, no pressure final ask with a graceful exit if they're not interested. 3 emails, 1 prompt. The tone stays consistent across all 3 because they all came from the same research input. Let's put numbers to this. Before AI, 45 minutes of research, 30 minutes writing the email, 15 minutes on follow up drafts, 90 minutes per prospect total. After AI, 15 minutes on research input, 8 minutes to review and send, 23 minutes per prospect. That's a 75% reduction in time per email, without cutting the research that makes the email worth sending in the first place. The research still happens, the thinking still happens. AI just eliminates the translation work between research and output. 3 specific things AI handles well here. Pattern recognition. It finds the themes across your review data, social activity, and competitor observations, and surfaces what's most relevant. Language variation. Because each email is generated from different research inputs, no 2 drafts sound identical. You're not sending the same email with the name swapped out. And sequence consistency. The tone holds across all 3 follow-ups without you having to manually match them. Volume without sacrificing relevance. That's the actual AI advantage in this workflow. Here's what this looks like. AI gets you most of the way there. It doesn't get you all the way. Read every email before you send it. AI can miss nuance, a recent news story, a change in ownership, something in their tone that signals they'd respond better to a different approach. Verify that your observations are still accurate. If you researched this prospect 2 months ago and things have changed, the email will feel off. Adjust the CTA if their situation shifted, and check that the email actually sounds like you. If it sounds like a template, it'll read like one. 3 practical things to keep in mind as you use this. First, the specificity of your research directly determines the quality of the output. Vague notes produce vague emails. Second, if the email still sounds generic, add 1 more concrete detail to the prompt. A single observation, a specific review quote, a competitor's recent post, a seasonal opening can flip the whole tone. Third, batch your research. Do 5 or 10 prospects at once, then run the prompt for all of them in a single session. This connects back to something in making AI make sense. Specificity activates better patterns. The more precise the input, the more precisely AI can match what you actually need. The framework isn't one size fits all. High volume with limited personalization time, use AI every time. Full draft generation plus the follow up sequence. Lower volume with a relationship already in place, it's still useful, but you'll personalize more heavily and use the AI output as a starting point. A high stakes prospect, let AI draft it, then treat it as a rough draft and do serious human review before it goes out. And completely cold with no research done, don't send it. There's no input to work from. The research isn't optional, it's the whole point. 4 signals that tell you you've outgrown doing this manually. Your outreach volume is hitting 20 or more per week. Follow ups are getting skipped because you don't have time to write them. Every email feels like it takes too long, so you either rush it or skip it. And your response rates are inconsistent because the quality of each email depends on how much time and energy you had that day. If any of those are true, this workflow exists to solve that problem. Let's put it plainly. 75% time saved per email, 37 plus hours recovered per month at 50 emails a week. Same quality or better because the research actually informs every draft rather than getting skipped when you're short on time. That's time back for selling, delivering, and doing the work that actually moves the business forward. Not time back from lower quality outreach. Time back from better outreach that takes less effort to produce. Here's what to do with this. Pick one prospect this week. Do the research, 15 minutes, 4 sources. Paste it into the prompt framework from this video. See what comes out. You don't need to commit a whole system before you've seen it work once. One prospect, one prompt. That's the test. And if you're doing outreach at volume and want to systemize that across your team, that's also a conversation worth having. This is part of our Making AI Work series, a new workflow series showing exactly what AI does to tasks that used to take much longer. If you haven't checked out the Making AI Make Sense series, that series covers the mechanics behind why these workflows actually produce better results. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you need this at scale for your team, let's talk. Find us at eauclaireai.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.